Welcome, my name is Mike B. I am a photographer here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I am joined by Juno. Hi, Juno. How's it going?
Hi.
So you and I have actually been working together for probably a year and a half or so. I think the first thing we worked on was the like 80s retro thing.
Yeah, we did that video and photo set with the neon lights and everything, and you did the VHS.
Yeah, the VHS effect. Yeah, kind of add a little bit to that. Now there's like apps that just do that. It's like, okay, well, fine. You and I talked about this a little bit. One thing I thought was kind of interesting was you kind of just came out of nowhere here in the Bay Area. Like you showed up, and I don't know, you shot with. Was it DO photo? I'm not sure.
No, I hadn't done DO photo yet. It was Second Life photography.
Okay, yeah.
Was my first shoot that I did in the Bay.
Some of those photos obviously kind of came across. I follow a few hashtags and everything. I think that's probably how I found you, or one of the photographers I might have followed. Just have a very unique look, right? Like can't really tell. Like I couldn't tell like what you were. I don't think anybody could ever sit down and really tell exactly what you are. So maybe you could tell us, what is your like ethnic breakdown?
So I'm half Japanese. My mom is full Japanese, and then on the other side, I'm like a mutt of like white stuff. So like really predominantly Scottish, Irish, but also have like some German in there and like other mix of like white things. But I know that like Scottish and Irish like very dominant on the white side.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then half Japanese.
Have you done like one of those 23andMe or Ancestry DNA things?
No, I really want to. I think that you're the person who first told me about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that it existed before, but I kind of want to now. It seems like an interesting thing to find out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it could just kind of confirm and actually almost narrow down a bit more like what your genetic makeup might be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you also could find out that you have like surprise cousins that you didn't really know about. Mm-hmm. In the worst case scenario, you could find out that maybe you have like an uncle or something. You just like, whoa, what? You're an uncle. I had no idea that you're related. Worst case scenario, and actually this happened to somebody that I know online. They found out that they actually had a sister they were not aware of, a half sister.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was like the same age, and she's like 29 or something, or 30. Mm-hmm. And so that was like, wow, that's like the absolute worst possible thing that can happen when you do these things.
Drama.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Dad, you want to talk about this a little bit? So you grew up where?
I grew up in Central California in a town that's not actually a town. It's a census designated area called Creston, California. Wow. It's a population of 93. And I grew up on a 5-acre ranch there. We had pigs and sheep and chickens and dogs and cats and like big like vegetable garden and orchard and stuff. So yeah.
Were you like were you guys pretty like self-sustainable? Like you would go out and slaughter a chicken or something like that and be like, we're having chicken tonight?
Yeah, so I mean, we did mostly what we do is like for the pigs, we had like 2 pigs that we would take to like fair every year because I did 4-H. And then we had 2 pigs that were like feeder pigs, which are the pigs that we raised to eat. And then like once a year we would like slaughter the pigs and do like the initial butchering process, and then we'd send the meat out to a butcher, and then we'd have that in a freezer, and so like all year long we'd have pork. And then with the chickens, mostly they were for eggs, but we would eat them sometimes. We'd be like, oh, let's someone go kill a chicken, and then I'd sit out back and like pluck the feathers off the chickens and stuff. And yeah, and then like the fruit and vegetables and stuff were all for us. So
were you the one sometimes in charge of actually doing the slaughtering, or?
So with the chickens, like the chickens were mine. We initially had Japanese quail, and then we got chickens, and so I took care of the chickens, and then when it was like slaughter time for the chickens, it was usually my job. Pigs are big animals, and you have to shoot them when you kill them. So I did not shoot the pigs, but I would like help with the like initial like slaughtering process and stuff. Like you cut them open and you pull out all their guts and stuff.
I've seen that done. When I was staying in Hawaii for a bit, I had a friend who was Chomoru, and he grew up in Guam, where like they would do basically that. It's like, oh, we want a pig, sure, we'll go slaughter a pig and we'll do whatever. And I was there for the actual slaughtering process, but in their case, they didn't shoot. They actually just They put him in kind of a brace of some sort, almost like a guillotine, and they just kind of slit the throat. And then it was just lots of noise, obviously, from a panicked pig. And then
Squealing pigs are loud.
Yeah, it was really loud. And it was my first time experiencing that. You know, I'm mostly a city boy, so it's like for me, it was just kind of like, whoa, that's didn't know it was like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I grew up. That was like what we did, and like even to this day, like bacon, just like store bacon sucks.
Really?
Yeah, like the meat that you get from the pigs that you raise is like so good. So like I didn't eat pork for a long time after we like moved off of the ranch because I thought all of it tasted so like garbage.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Even like good bacon.
Even like good, like you get the like organic, like free range, like bacon from Whole Foods or whatever. It's just not as good. Yeah,
that's crazy. I just would assume that, you know, pork would have a very narrow band of flavor. You know, it's like bacon typically tastes like bacon, and so you'd figure that it would kind of just be a narrow band of like the flavor profile. But I mean, I believe you 100% that, you know, one you grew up with that's loved.
Well, yeah, you love them. You like we'd exercise them and stuff too, so that they had like a good muscle mass on them. They weren't just like lazy pigs, you know. And then the butcher that we'd bring them to would do like special cuts for us. So like when you get really good thick cut, like homemade, like homegrown, I don't know what word to use, but like bacon from pigs that you raise.
Have you ever read Charlotte's Web?
Yes.
You probably read it when you were a little girl, right? How does that relate to like what you do? I'm just because I never met anybody who was lived on a ranch who would kill pigs and also happened to read Charlotte's Web.
Yeah. It was like kind of comparable, I guess. I mean, it's just definitely like a big fantasy book. There were no like talking spiders around that were like cooing our pigs, but
that's some pig.
Like we have like my mom had like a triangle that when it was time, because we had a big property, so we would like run. When I was a kid, we would just run around barefoot all over and like go explore. We had like a pond and like a hill and stuff, and so we could be anywhere at any time. My mom would ring a triangle, and that meant that it was time to come home, like back to the house to like eat or whatever she wanted us for.
That is some Little House on the Prairie stuff right there. That is crazy. So like for discipline, did she make you get the switch off a tree or something like that?
No, not quite that bad. It was more like you're just punished. Like, but the thing is, when you're grounded and you live on a giant ranch that's super beautiful, like it doesn't matter because number one, you can't walk to any of your friends' houses. Your closest friend lives like 10 miles away.
Oh wow.
And like number two, like being stuck at home means that you just get to play outside all day. Like
shame.
Yeah, so bad.
So would you consider? Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a half brother and a half sister.
Okay. Did you grow up with them?
I did. My sister moved out when I was probably like, I don't know, like 5. So I didn't know her very well. But me and my brother lived together up until he went away for college when I was in like 6th grade. Yeah.
Okay. Would you consider yourself like with this kind of upbringing being a little bit of a tomboy?
Yeah, I was definitely, I mean, I used to have a shaved head. This is the longest my hair has ever been in my whole life.
You were actually talking recently about shaving your head just for modeling purposes, or actually not for modeling purposes, but because
I just wanted to. Yeah. Having hair is a bother. It's a lot of work. And I definitely like miss having really short hair. It's super nice. And so, yeah, I put feelers out there because I feel like one of the reasons why I've grown out my hair is because I'm modeling and I'm portraying this very like feminine, like role, I guess. And so I put out feelers and was like, hey, if you're like a photographer, a fan, like, would you still support my work or like be interested in hiring me if I shave my head? And I got a lot of no responses. And I had such an overwhelming amount of no responses and people telling me not to do it that I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it because I don't want it to like interfere with my career.
Yeah. It's a difference between like, obviously, you know, you don't want to, listen to like strangers on the internet telling you what to do, but at the same time, these strangers on the internet are the ones that hire you for these things. So
totally,
I could see that being a reason why you would decide not to get it done. So I mean, you have a very natural everything. Like you are, you don't necessarily shave at all, right? All natural hair, and was this like just like because your upbringing, or was this kind of a conscious decision, or?
So my mom and my sister shave. It's like they have their thing. When I was in high school, I took a it was like a sociology class or something, and our final project was that for like a month all of the like girls were like not gonna didn't shave, and all of the like boys were supposed to shave, and it was like a social experiment to see what kind of reactions you got from people in your life. Right. Having not shaved and shaved. And it was, I did that project and I was like, okay, like I'm just not ever gonna shave again because this is really easy. And I don't grow thick hair on my legs.
Right.
The hair on my legs is like little baby peach fuzz hairs. So I don't really have to worry about that anyways. And then like having armpit hair is actually kind of nice. Like when you shave your armpits and you're like, you got that weird like underarm feel. Like I don't like that. So yeah, I haven't shaved probably since I was like 16.
16. Wow. So I mean, at that age, you know, you're so young that the leg hairs you didn't really have enough opportunities to really go through it, toughen them up by shaving consistently. Wow, how interesting. So since you were 16, you just decided all because of this sociology class.
Yeah,
right?
That was like one of the main influences. And then also I feel like at that time too, like there was a lot of people who were like getting into the no shave thing. Like I had a lot of friends who just were like, I don't see a point in it. I don't want to. And then that was also the age where like people are starting to become like more sexualized or whatever. So people are like, okay, so like, do we shave like our like pubic hair or whatever? And then it becomes the question of like, why do people shave? Like, why are people attracted to like prepubescence? Like kind of like that whole conversation went on, and yeah, it just was a life choice.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So tell me, how did you manage to go from, what was the name of the town? Creston. A town obviously I've never heard of. Where is it located?
So it's in San Luis Obispo County. Okay. But it is a little over an hour away. It's like a little northeast. So you have Paso Robles, also like wine country, and then right after Paso is Atascadero, just going south, and it's inland from that.
Okay.
Yeah, like about an hour or half an hour, 45 minutes inland from there.
So that's closer to LA than it is to here, isn't it? Right? San Luis Obispo.
It's like a halfway point almost. Yeah, the Central Coast is what it's called technically.
So you decided to move from there to the Bay Area for what reasons?
Well, when I was like 13, we sold the ranch, moved to Atascadero, which is more of like a town, and then when I was 17, I moved to San Luis Obispo proper, because there's this, like, everyone gets stuck in that town. It's like kind of the sad thing where you go back and you see all the same people, and like there aren't really jobs there that are good. Yeah, so there's still like just it's a place where people get stuck. I mean, Atascadero literally translates to mud pit. Which is funny because everyone gets stuck in this town. So San Luis Obispo proper is more of like a kind of like a bigger town. It's almost like, when I was a kid, I thought of it as like the city, even though it's not really comparatively. And that was like to get out of Atascadero. And I lived there until I was 18, and then I moved to the Bay Area. I came here a lot. I had friends who lived here, and I just like, I didn't want to be stuck in like the small town vibe. I wanted to live in the city, and I wanted to like experience the city.
So what is your, I mean, you've been living here then for probably a little over 2 years, I'm guessing?
Well, I'm 23 now.
Okay.
So I lived here for like 4.5 years, maybe.
So it was actually a pretty good amount of time before, like between when you moved out here to when you started modeling, right?
Yeah. So it was probably like a year, because I started modeling when I was 20.
Okay.
When I was 20, I quit my miserable day job at Chipotle. I was a manager at Chipotle.
Manager, you made it all the way up, huh?
Yeah, it was a really terrible job. I quit on accident, kind of. I was just like having a bad day, and they were trying to keep me there for like 12 hours, and I was like, I'm done. I quit. I'm not going to stay here. And then immediately afterwards, I regretted my decision. But I had already done a couple shoots, and I was sort of like, okay, everyone was just like, why don't you just model? So I got a part-time job.
I'm sorry, it's just like, why don't you just model? Of course. Yeah.
Like it's so easy.
Just get started.
So I had a part-time job, and then I was modeling on the side. And then I quit my part-time job, and I was just modeling. But it was really hard. I was not prepared at all for like the amount of work that it was, and also for like when you're not when you don't have a name for yourself yet, you haven't worked with like a bunch of photographers, it's really tough to get like booked. So I had a Model Mayhem and was like working through that, which I don't really use Model Mayhem at all anymore, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
And then
it's a good place to start and to sometimes to find new talent from a photographer perspective. But for you, I could totally see Instagram being a very good resource for that.
Yeah, Model Mayhem was good for like getting a portfolio started, I guess. And then about a year in 2017, like the end of the summer of 2017, I started my Instagram, and then from there it got a lot easier.
So you told me before, but somebody actually talked you into joining Instagram. Prior to that, and even now, you didn't really know anything about Twitter or social media, just kind of in general. Is that right? Like you knew of, but maybe not. Perhaps you don't have a Twitter account right now.
I don't know. I'm like thinking about creating a Twitter account this summer, but I've been kind of like talking to people like, how do you tweet? Like, what is a Twitter? Like, I don't understand it very much. But like also growing up on the ranch, like we didn't have computers, we didn't have cell phones. Like my parents thought cell phones were like the devil and that they gave you cancer, and so like
that's the devil.
Yeah, cell phones were bad, you know? And we didn't get a home computer until I was a lot older. And so the internet and technology has always been kind of foreign to me, I guess. And I've also always had like kind of a critique of it because of my family critique of like technology is going to ruin the world, like dystopia, future. Yeah.
So some of that rubbed off a little bit.
It definitely rubbed off. Yeah.
Well, it's correct about Twitter though. Twitter is definitely the devil for sure.
Yeah. I like sometimes we'll look at things that are on Twitter and I kind of get it. But yeah, Instagram was like, I had to get really used to it and figure it out using the internet. I made my own website. So like I had to figure out how to do that. And I'm a lot better at it now. I understand how to use the web, the internets.
The internets. Yeah. At least it's funny because like only a few years ago, joke would be totally over your head. Like the internets, you know, it's like you totally get it.
I'm like a grandma. Like my friends all think that I'm like a grandma. I like knit and I sew and like I like make jam and stuff. Like I love doing like all these kind of, because I grew up doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You make your own incense too.
Yeah, actually, I make my own like herbal medicines and things, and like because that's how I grew up. We were like self-sustainable. Like if something ripped, like you didn't throw it away and get a new one. You like fixed it. You hemmed it. You knew how to do that. And but you didn't use computers. So I'm pretty stuck in like
no tutorials online or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm like Little House on the Prairie, like in reality, like coming into the big city, like trying to figure out modern day.
Oh man, tell me about how you like who talked you into just getting started modeling. Like there's a jump usually that occurs before you go from doing oh sure, yeah, you can take some pictures to okay, yeah, I'll take off my clothes and take some pictures. Like was that a transition that was easy for you to make?
It was pretty easy to make. So when I was 18, back when I still lived in San Luis Obispo, I had a friend who was a nude model. Her name's Tiffany Helms, and she lives on the East Coast now. But she invited me to do a shoot with her once when I was 18. And so I went and I did the shoot with her and this photographer, Shattered Vortex, who's from Santa Barbara. And it was cool. It was like an interesting experience. I had no idea what I was doing. I look at the pictures now and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I doing there? Like, I didn't know. And then
critiquing your old work.
Yeah, like very early. And then when I initially started modeling in the Bay, I lived with someone who had been like a signed model and she'd worked with a lot of photographers. And so she was like, yeah, you should model, and introduced me to photographers, and we did some modeling together. And from that, like a lot of the photographers I worked with were like, you can do something with this. Like you can like make money from this if you wanted to. And I've also always been kind of a free spirit. Like nudity has never been like a big thing for me, and I've always just getting into modeling. It was definitely kind of nervous at first, but it's been actually a really liberating experience. So that's kind of how that happens. And my friend would post pictures of me on her Instagram, and so then photographers would hit me up like, "Can I check your photo?" And
just looking at your feed, and one thing I noticed, you really like shooting either outside or where you're like almost trying to get outside.
Yeah.
Like every other photo is like you're either hanging out of a window or like this most recent one where it's like, you say you can't really tell, but I'm hanging off the edge of an 8-story building. Like, is it the heights? Is it outside? Is it just natural light in general that you tend to shoot a lot of?
I prefer natural light, definitely. I love doing outdoor shoots. I love nature, so it's that's a big one. The heights thing has been interesting because I'm pretty afraid of heights.
Oh.
Yeah, but photographers are always like, "Hey, do you want to hang out of this window on this like giant building?" Or like, "Hey, let's get up on this roof." And I'm like, okay, like it's fun, but then like I'm always like, you see this like beautiful like interesting shot or whatever, when in reality like after those like screaming and I was like, get me over here, like
Just try to keep it together for this
yeah
shoot.
like
It's
you get your serious like model face on, and as soon as they get the photo you're like, okay, can we be done now, like I need to get down.
I started following you late 2017. I have this image here. So first off, you want to tell me a little bit about this shoot?
Yeah, so I did that shoot with Singyen. He's really awesome. I still work with him sometimes. He's just a great photographer. But when I first made my Instagram, he's friends with like Second Life Photography, who was like the first photographer in the Bay Area to shoot with me. And so he found me through that and like hit me up and was like, I'd love to do a shoot with you. And this was our first shoot together, and it was at a really cool like old house in Crockett, which is like is that Crocker? One of the, it's up north in the Bay.
Anything north of Napa, I'm just like, oh, it's Oregon.
Oh yeah. It's like in the Northern Bay kind of area, and yeah, so he had like this fake gun, and he brought those like panties and those glasses, and we just shot around the house, and it was a fun time getting to know him and doing our first shoot together.
So this shoot, this image, if you look to the right there, I actually left a comment. I remembered I left this comment for you, and I wanted to dig it up for the purpose of this interview. It says, dope pictures like this make you feel like it came across your Insta before you got big, and I'm totally prepared to brag about it when you do.
Oh my gosh, that's so
and
funny.
You had like less than 1,000 followers or something.
Yeah, I probably had like 500 followers at that point.
I was like, this girl's gonna make it, because all of your pictures were so
that
like,
picture has 148 likes.
It's which is I mean, for me that's pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. No, but compared to your recent work, like that's huge. I mean, if you want to see even less likes, let's go ahead and go back to one of the earlier photos that I found here.
Oh yeah.
This one done by Film Exclusive. Now this is August 12th, 2017. So it's actually a little earlier than I expected, but is this like one of your first shoots?
Yeah, so I think that was like my second or third shoot. And I did that shoot with my old roommate at the time. We did some stuff together, but I only posted the one of just me. But I really, really loved working with Film Exclusive. I still work with him. We just did a shoot really recently. He's one of my favorite Bay Area photographers. It's just like a joy to work with. But yeah, that's early me with short hair. That was when I just started growing it out. Yeah.
How funny. And then I have this other one here, which I actually thought this was like a Throwback Thursday post. I was like, oh yeah, but it turns out, according to the description, that this is actually a shoot. Is that right?
So that was from a shoot in 2016. And so that's like very early stuff. So when I first started my Instagram, I had already had like kind of a backlog of photos from doing things. And I met that photographer, Ward, because he had worked with my roommate. And so like, since they had worked together and she posted pictures of me, he contacted me to shoot. And that was in LA in like a motor yard, like a junk car yard.
You look really comfortable doing this. So again, so much so that I really thought that I was like, oh, this is what she used to do back on the ranch. Like just working in the garage, you know, like I'm just going to weld this thing together, fix the tractor or something like that. Like, I really got that impression from this, which I think just kind of goes to show that you really own whatever it is that you're working on. I mean, even at such, so early in your career, you're really smoking that cigarette, right?
Yeah, I quit smoking cigarettes in this past November.
Nice.
Yeah, I just Juul now.
You just Juul.
Just Juul now.
all the kids and the kids in their Juul.
Yeah. But yeah, I was actually smoking that cigarette, and I actually lit it with that crazy thing. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's probably another picture there somewhere where we're just like. Pfft.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's awesome. That is a great shoot. It has this really great like throwaway camera, like kind of look like the old disposable cameras.
Yeah, totally, because of the flash, that external flash.
Yeah. Just to keep going on your like your flexibility, the different things you do. Like you do a lot of like light bondage, and well, I don't know if this is light bondage. You're literally hanging by a rope. You kind of do like everything, really. The only thing I don't think I've really seen you do too much is, I mean, because you don't do, you tend to gravitate a little bit more towards shooting outside, so outdoors, natural light, and everything. So I haven't really seen you do too much like more studio work. But like this, whenever you do studio stuff, this is usually what it is. It seems.
Yeah, a lot of the time. I do some studio work that doesn't get posted. Really. Studio's okay, I guess. I like doing some indoor shoots. I especially like indoor shoots that are using like natural light and stuff. But I've definitely like studio work is a little different for me, I guess. But yeah, I do a lot of like shibari shoots. I'm like personally am very interested in like those kinds of things. So like that really is easy to do with a photographer too then, just because it's something that I have experience with in my like personal life.
Right.
And I also think it's really pretty. I like ropes.
It is. I mean, I really love this picture of you. Like you have a very like kind of an innocent look. And then it's like if I were just to cover up just everything but your face, it's a very innocent kind of doting look. And then you see the rest and it's kind of like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that in the lower half of the image there. So, I mean, like you crossing genres, like when you cross from, doing typical nude modeling, and this is like from my experience working with models, a lot of times they draw a line at fetish work, whether even like bondage tape is kind of like, probably shouldn't do that. How did you make that jump? Like, was this something that maybe when you were younger, you kind of saw pictures or whatever?
Yeah, so I've been interested in fetish stuff since I was probably like 16 or 17, like in my personal life. And that was just through like, probably just exposure. And then also like having like romantic partners who were interested in that kind of stuff, so just kind of like boosted my like awareness of all of it. And then coming into doing photo stuff, there's like a lot of photographers who do shibari photography, and I had multiple of them hit me up asking me if I would do it. Like Film Exclusive also does some like rope bondage work. So I just kind of got into it. And then once you start posting that you do that stuff, more of them will be like gravitate towards you and be like, ooh, this person does fetish stuff. So like we will also ask to do fetish stuff.
Yeah.
And now I don't really do it because I used to just work with like any photographer who was like, well, I'll take your photo. Because you just take all the jobs you can get.
Sure.
But now I'm a lot more selective. And the same goes with like my more fetish or like kink work. I mostly now only do that kind of work with photographers on like a trade basis who like I admire their work and I reach out to them asking if they want to work together.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So, like this is a really early shot of you doing this. So you it's not like you had like a phase where you were just doing nude modeling and then you crossed over into doing fetish work. It seems like you kind of started both at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell me about the time that you were left out in the cold for a shoot.
Yeah, so I got asked to do a shoot by a photographer who was traveling in town. He was staying at a hotel in somewhere like deep East Bay, like heading towards like Tracy. Yeah. And so
Tracy is deep East Bay, by the way.
Yeah. It's
Sacramento
like it's not even the Bay Area anymore. Yeah. So like I had communicated everything with him beforehand about like where we were meeting up, what time we were meeting up, everything. And so I had all the communication underway. I messaged him 24 hours in advance being like, hey, just want to confirm our shoot tomorrow at this time. And it was an evening thing because he was working during the day and he had a chance to shoot at his hotel in the evening. So everything's all ready and I drive like an hour and a half, like hour 45 minutes to get to this hotel. And I get there and I text him and I'm like, hey, I'm here. Like, what room is it? Like, I'm coming into the lobby and he doesn't text me back. And so I'm just like waiting for a text back. And so I call him this is like 10 minutes after we were supposed to meet. I showed up 15 minutes early. Right. So like 10 minutes after we were supposed to meet, I give him a call and I'm like, hi, like I'm down in the lobby. And he's like, oh, I'm out at dinner right now. And I was like,
did he just forget that he had his shoot?
No, he knew that. He was like, I'm out at dinner right now and that we're still eating, but I'm not sure exactly when I'll be done, but I'll be back at the hotel a little later. And I was like, no, like I drove like an hour and 45 minutes to come to this hotel. Like I need you to tell me when you're going to be back.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, I'm not sure. We're still eating. So I'll be there. And so I was like, that's ridiculous. So I he hangs up on me. And so then I text him and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to just like wait around for an indeterminate amount of time for you.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
But I have a no-show policy, cancellation policy, that if you don't show up to shoot, you have to pay the full a
fee of some sort.
Yeah, you just have to pay the full compensation that was agreed upon. Usually, like, cancellations within 24 hours, like half of the agreed upon amount. But like, if you don't show up to a shoot, like, you owe me the full amount that you were going to pay me.
Especially, I mean, is this where your distance fee like originated from, or did you already have that?
I already had the distance fee.
Okay.
So it's like, well, because sometimes people will be like, hey, will you come shoot with me out in Sacramento? And I'm like, well, if I'm going to drive all the way out to Sacramento, like, I need a little extra for gas, you know? But yeah, but I already had my whole no-show policy all set up, and I had sent this person my booking policy, and he was like, that's ridiculous, I was gonna come, I'm not gonna pay your policy. And I was like, well, no, but like, you agreed to all of my booking terms, and then you didn't show up to a shoot. And he was like, well, I was gonna come, I came later. He had texted, I had driven home, and by the time that I'd gotten home, driven like an hour and 45 minutes back, like 10 minutes before I got home, he texted me being like, I'm here, where are you?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
but 2 hours late at this point, really?
Yeah, it would have been 2 hours after our agreed upon time. It was just ridiculous. That was the worst, like, kind of no-show situation that I ever had happen.
That was the worst. Wow, we went right to the top.
Yeah, that was like that, because
I was hoping to open
like,
the door to a couple of good stories here, but we got the best one.
Well, because like showing up somewhere and someone literally just being like, oh, I'm still at dinner. Like, I'm not sure when I'll be there, but I will be. You will wait around for me. Like, as if you don't have anything else to do in your life, you know, because you're just an object that I'm going to photograph or something.
Yeah,
like, you're not a
like a
human.
vase or something.
Yeah.
It's like, just drop it off on the porch. I'll pick it up later.
Yeah, exactly.
So what would rank then as like your second best worst experience then?
Second best worst experience. There was a shoot where a photographer like slapped my ass without asking. Yeah, I was like standing on a balcony without asking. He just slaps my ass when I'm turned around, and so like I turn around and was just like, whoa, it's not cool. I just packed my stuff and left because like I'm not gonna stick around for that. So that was like probably one of the worst things that happened. And that whole shoot too, he kept being like, drink alcohol, like do coke with me. And I was like, no, like this is like a professional shoot. Like I'm not gonna do that. And so yeah, he was just shitty. And then am I allowed to curse? I curse. I'm so sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't have any sponsors. Curse.
And then I had another shoot where I don't do open leg shots with photographers that I don't know. Like if I have a working relationship with a photographer or something, it's for my Patreon, like I will sometimes. But usually that's just with friends, and it's in my like stuff that I send out. Like I don't do open leg shots.
Like you don't post them on Instagram or anything.
And
like that.
And I just don't do them with photographers. Like if I'm working with a photographer, especially the first time I work with a photographer, like I'm not going to do open leg shots with them. And like or like spread shots or whatever. So like I was working with this photographer, and he was like, oh, okay, will you like open your legs? And I was like, oh, I don't do like the spread shots. And so then the whole entire time he was trying to like put me in positions where he could get crotch shots without actually like explicitly asking for them. Like, oh, well, like, will you turn around and then will you like lift up a little bit and like kind of arch your back? And I was like, I know what you're doing. Like, I'm not stupid. And I literally said that to him. I was like, I'm not stupid. I know what you're doing. I told you I don't want you to take pictures of my like crotch area. So like, stop trying to put me in weird positions where like you want that to happen. Like,
to be fair, just kind of like lift a cheek a little bit.
Yeah. Like I would.
So what did he say?
He was like, oh, I'm sorry. Because, like, I think that he thought that he could pull one over on me. Like, a lot of times I'll do things where when it's implied, like, I'll put my foot or, like, my hand somewhere that will, like, I understand angles and cameras and stuff. And he'd be like, oh, can you, like, move your hand? And I'm like, my hand is here for a reason. Like, it's, like, here to make this shot, like, more implied. So that was a funny one, I guess.
How funny. Man, the ass slapping thing is just, like, pretty brazen. I think the funniest part is that you preface it with without asking.
Yeah, well, because, like, I mean, if he had said, like, the whole thing was the reason why he said that he did it is because he thought that it would be a really good shot if I had a handprint there. Oh. But, like, I had worked with him before, and he had been fine before when we worked together. So maybe if he had said, like, do you mind if I, like, give you a good slap on the ass to have like the handprint on your butt for this photo, I probably would have said yes. But standing on the edge of a balcony and getting like spanked
you're, like,
really
looking
hard
over the edge or something.
like
Oh,
not
wow, okay.
facing him at all, like looking out over the balcony because he's doing these like behind shots. He was wearing this jacket that he was having me model. And yeah, just getting slapped in the ass really hard. It's scary. Like
Sure.
you're super.
And you're
you
already
get-
afraid of heights.
Yeah, and like then someone like grabs you or touches you in like kind of a violent way. It was just like, it just wasn't okay.
Wow.
And I just turned around and I was like, that's not okay. And I just like put on my clothes and I was leaving. He's like, I'm sorry. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, like you don't get to apologize for that.
Yeah. Have you guys since made up or kind
No,
of...
I never worked with him or talked to him again.
Wow.
Yeah, he contacted me multiple times to do shoots since then. And I've also heard since then from other models having some pretty awful stories about this photographer too.
Oh, wow.
Like pushing boundaries and stuff. So there's like in the model community, people know now like not to work with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've obviously heard stories myself from, from various models or whatever, but yeah, it's like there's actually a list, and this is just kind of like on the side here, but there's actually a list that came out of Portland, I think.
Yeah, the blacklist. There's a couple
Yeah.
different blacklists. There's a Portland, like Pacific Northwest one.
Yeah.
There's like a general one, which actually names some like real top photographers in the industry too. And then there's like the East Coast one. And there's a small Bay Area one.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know like some Bay Area photographers that would be on this list. But I remember the first one that came out, the blacklist one from Oregon. That one had like one guy had like 50 or something, like something crazy.
Yeah.
And like on one hand, it's like if anybody can submit a story, like I feel like wow, that's like if somebody's popular enough, like you could totally get abused that way, right? But 50,
Yeah. Well,
that's kind of a lot.
the thing that gets difficult about the blacklist is there's definitely like there's some real horror stories out there. There's real photographers that like models just shouldn't work with. They're dangerous to work with,
Yeah.
like physically or emotionally. And then there's other photographers where they'll get blacklisted for doing something that's deemed as inappropriate that like one model might find inappropriate, but another model might not. So like sometimes photographers are really vocal about like that's so hot, like that's really hot, like da 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 da, and like it's annoying when photographers do that, I guess, but it's kind of just like, ugh, like whatever. But I don't think that it's dangerous necessarily.
I see, yeah.
And so like when I know a photographer who got put on a blacklist for being really vocal about being like, oh, this is beautiful, like you look beautiful right now and stuff, and that's what's listed as the reason.
He called me beautiful during a shoot.
Yeah, and so like it gets into that like messy zone of like what one person might find unsettling, like another person wouldn't. But then, yeah, there's the people who have like 25 allegations against them or like 50 allegations against them of like actually like touching models without asking or like just being, like physically inappropriate or even like
Surprise slapping someone's ass on the road, hanging off the edge of a building.
There's a Bay Area photographer who just got called out like a couple months ago for withholding pictures from models that did trade shoots with him because they wouldn't have sex with him. If you wouldn't go on dates with or have sex with him after your shoot, he would never give you photos if you worked on like a trade basis.
Wow, it doesn't sound like much of a trade.
No, it doesn't.
It's a very one-sided trade.
Yeah, they really don't it's not that hard to just be like a nice person and treat models like human beings who have like feelings and emotions and needs and boundaries. Like, it just doesn't seem hard.
It doesn't seem hard. Yeah, there's no such thing as a nipple fluffer. There isn't. Tell me a little bit about your Patreon. You have a Patreon that you started up a few months ago, I want to say. And tell me a little bit about, and consider this a little bit of a way to promote it a little bit if you would like.
Okay.
So tell me all about your Patreon.
So I started my Patreon in December. And it's been very exciting. It's been a lot of work, a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, but it's been fun. And so for my Patreon, I have 5 tiers. At the smallest tier, at the $5 level, you get like some bonus content every month. Like I schedule all my stuff a month in advance. So like next month's bonus stuff is like I have a bonus photo set going up that does have uncensored photos in it. And then I'm doing like an Ask Me Absolutely Anything video response. So like at the beginning of the month, people can ask whatever questions they want. And then a little later in the month, I'll have like a video response answering all of the questions, like
nice.
all the deepest, darkest things that people want to know about me.
Oh man, if we didn't already cover it here.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also have like my lingerie diaries that I do. So like I met my first goal on Patreon, and that was so that I could like get more wardrobe. Because being a model, you have to just like constantly be like getting new wardrobe.
Yeah.
So the lingerie diaries is essentially like sometimes people get a vote on like what lingerie I'm gonna buy for that month and stuff, like what they want to see me in, and then I do like a self-portrait set as I'm getting new stuff to be like, look, these new outfits. You get to see them before anyone else.
And your self-portrait stuff is actually really good. Like, I really like some of the stuff that you've posted. It seems so simple, but like you obviously know your angles and everything, and you know lighting. I mean, just being part of this industry, I feel like you've kind of absorbed a lot of that.
Yeah. And I do it all on film. When I was younger, before I started modeling, I used to like to do self-portrait stuff just with phones.
Oh, sure.
And it was interesting, like setting up angles or using light or like doing props, and I've always been really into like a more minimalist vibe when I do self-portraits, like even that way, and then like put filters on it and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the puppy filter or something.
Oh well, not those kind of filters. I would like add like change the contrast and the exposure and stuff. I was like interested in all that, and then I also shot film, but I didn't really do film self-portrait sets until I like got more into modeling. So yeah, that's my $5 tier, and then I have like a $10 tier where people get like safe for work photos, and they also get my film photography, so like monthly photos that I've taken on film, and then also they get journal entries. So like I write long-winded, very rambly posts about things that I've been thinking about the month, whether that has to do with like modeling or my personal life, so to get to know me a little better. And then I have a $25 tier where they get like uncensored photo sets, discount on my store. So that's like all the physical kind of like Polaroids, Instax, prints and stuff. And then I have a $50 tier where they get my erotica section, which is more like risque photos. They get like those bondagey like shots. They also get like open leg shots and kind of like more like boudoir, like glamour.
And a lot of this stuff it will never hit Instagram.
No,
really.
So the stuff that goes, especially the stuff that goes on my erotica tier, will like never be on social media.
I see.
Or anywhere else on the internet. And then the $50 a month tier also gets access to my Snapchat, where I do like cute striptease videos and also like take videos of my cats and other like just daily things that I'm doing, like behind the scenes stuff or whatever. And then I have a $100 tier, which is they get everything else that everyone gets, and they also get like physical rewards mailed to them every month. And usually the physical rewards, if you bought them in my shop, would be like equivalent to around like $50 to $75 to like $100. Like I'll send like a print and like a Polaroid and a handwritten letter and like a postcard that has like a film image that I took on it and stuff. I do like more elaborate packages for people at my $100 tier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually just ran into a recent issue where I have, as you can see behind you, I have that was only supposed to hold a few garments, and now it's like loaded up. I have a lot of stuff, and so I created a tier where basically I would just sell the actual clothes from the shoots, like the shirt or whatever, like just to help kind of offset the cost of purchasing it. Because like you said, buying this wardrobe costs you a lot of money over time, and a lot of times when you buy something to use in a shoot, you really can't use it again. Unless it's like a shoot where it's like for example, we're shooting today where it's like there's really harsh light. You can't really make out what the attire is outside of like the shape or something. So you could kind of get away with using something like that over and over again. But I mean, like for you, like, is that something that is that already on your in your tiers or in your shop?
So I don't have that in my tiers, but something that I'm revitalizing everything in June this year. I have like a 6-month plan that I'm working on. Oh, so I'm like introducing.
Great.
I'm a Capricorn. So I'm introducing so I redid my whole website, which I'm launching the new website in June. So like all of the pages and stuff are already ready, but I'm launching that in June. And then I'm also like starting a new site in June as well, on ManyVids. I'm starting like a passionate video project. And then I'm still going to have my Patreon as well. But I'm going to start doing a panties and Polaroids package, which is like, it's a a Polaroid of me wearing the panties, and you also like get the panties in like a little Ziploc bag, and that's like gonna be my way to like exchange out wardrobe, because like most of my wardrobe is lingerie. But the biggest thing though is that like a lot of the lingerie I get is like handmade designer lingerie from like I just ordered some stuff from Hopeless Lingerie, which is my favorite brand. I'm not sponsored by them, but you should look at them because they're great. And they hand make all their stuff in Australia. So it's like $200, $300 just for like a bra panty set.
Yeah, which is, I've seen those prices before. It's nuts, but I mean, it's really great.
It's great stuff, and it's beautiful in images, and it lasts forever if you take care of it. And you also get to be like, oh, wow, this was made like in a sweatshop or by like prisoners who make like 1 penny an hour or whatever, you know? So you kind of feel like better about it too, I guess. Yeah.
Look good, feel good. Of course.
Totally. So with those, sometimes I'll reuse them and stuff. And I definitely won't be doing those with the panties and Polaroids because I will never get rid of them. I will keep them until they fall apart.
So you won't get $300 panties in a Ziploc bag.
No,
right?
definitely not.
This is
more Victoria's Secret.
This sounds extremely reasonable, or like overall pretty reasonable. What's up with the AK-47 tattoo?
Yeah, so all of my tattoos mean something very important to me. Right. And I have a journal. I don't get tattoos anymore because I'm kind of like at the border of like, I don't want to become like a tattoo model, I guess. So like
you have a good balance.
Yeah. So I slowed down. But before, what I would do is I'd write down what I wanted in a journal and I'd write the date next to it. And if in a year from that date I still wanted it, I could get it. Because like so many of our like emotions and feelings and thoughts about things are so transitory, like, and I'm so glad that I did like so many stupid tattoos in that book. Like, I'm like, what was I thinking when I wrote that down?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so
I kind of want to see this book.
It's like a dragon like flying around the sun or something, like, I don't know. Wow. But
all the way down my back.
Yeah. But so all my other tattoos really, really mean something to me. And the AK-47 tattoo, me and my best friend used to work at the Chipotle together. Mm-hmm. We were both managers there. And we've known each other since we were like kids. And we got these checks from the Chipotle. They made a mistake or something. We got like way too much money in these like in our paycheck. We were like, what? This is like unreasonable. Like, what did they do? So we're like, okay, we have to spend the money as fast as we can. So if they ask for it back, we can say that we don't have it anymore. So yeah.
This is definitely not grown-up talk here.
No, I was young. So we were like, yeah, we have to spend it as fast as we can so they can't ask for it back. And we were like, let's get tattoos. And we were like, okay, so I'll choose your tattoo for you and you choose my tattoo for me, and we won't tell each other. You'll tell the like tattoo artist and then they'll just do it on me and I won't look until it's done.
Already, this is a great idea.
Yeah, this is a wonderful idea. So I go in and it happens and it's this under boob, like we got to choose a placement and everything. So this is like under boob AK-47. Just show you.
There you go.
Yeah, the AK-47. Mm-hmm. And so I get it and I see it afterwards and I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like I look tough, you know?
So at least you like yours.
Yeah, I like it.
Wasn't a dragon flying around the sun or something like that.
And then he just was like, I'm not going to do it after that. And I was like, really? Like, you're not going to do it? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, that's like, really, you're bad friends. And we got in a little bit of a tiff about it. And I was kind of frustrated with him for a few months. But we're best friends again. So
you are?
Yeah, we're still best friends.
So he still owes you a tattoo.
Definitely owes me a tattoo. Yeah, he talks to me all the time about like we should get like best friend tattoos or something, and has like all these ideas for it. I'm like, I'm not gonna get a tattoo with you until you get the stupid tattoo that you're supposed to get. Does he know what you picked for him? And I'm not sure. It was an ice cream cone.
An ice cream cone? Where are we gonna put it?
On his arm. He doesn't have space there anymore though, because he got all blasted. He's all covered in tattoos now.
Then why not just get it and just
right?
Just get it over with.
Yeah, but
no one's gonna notice an ice cream cone surrounded by
all this other stuff. Yeah, it was honestly really rude. But I like my AK-47 tattoo. I like shooting guns. I think it's fun. I grew up on a ranch. Like I have a lot of gun experience.
Of course.
Yeah, but I don't know. And it looks cool. I look tough. I look like, I don't know.
You totally look tough.
Yeah.
It's the tattoo that does
Yeah.
it. More than anything. Juno, thank you so much for doing this with me. This is the third episode in this series. Where can the people at home follow you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Juno, Juno _ LTK. And then my Patreon is like www.patreon.com/ just Juno LTK.
No underscore on that one.
No underscore on that one.
Okay.
And then my website is www.junoltk.com.
Nice.
And yeah, you can like, from any of those, you can find all the other things too. Like on my Instagram are links to like my website and my Patreon same, and website same. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining me. My name is Mike B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, akamikebphoto, as well as Patreon is the same thing. YouTube.com/akamikebphoto soon, as soon as I get 100 subscribers on that. Get that moving. Thank you again, Juno. And thank you for watching. We'll see you guys later.
Yay!
So easy.
That was fun.
It was great. It was perfect.
I did okay.
Oh, are you kidding me? That was probably one of the, I've only done 3 so far. So, and they've all actually been really good, but you know, at some point I'm probably going to get to somebody who's like maybe a little bit stiff.
Yeah.
And it was not you.
Yay. I'm glad.